Hello, good evening, and welcome to Become a Better Man. My name is Tunde Disu. What a day, what a weather we've had for the past 3 days. Oh, I feel like I'm back in Nigeria. The weather, the heat today is just something else. I don't need to tell you that we all felt it. Wherever you are, you're enjoying your summer, and I'm happy for you. On this program today, we're going to continue what we started 2 weeks ago. Sorry, I couldn't come online last week. It was my son's graduation, so I had uh, to be a good father and pay and be there for him. But hey, we're here today, and we're going to continue what we started 2 weeks ago. We were looking at failure. We were looking at failure, and I know that it's not an exciting topic, but as you will remember, when we started digging into it 2 weeks ago, we were asking, what exactly is failure? What is called failure? How do you determine failure? Is failure an event, or is failure a destination? Is it the sum total of who you are or what you are, or the sum total of your life? Or is failure just a bump in the road, just a pothole in the road, and you need to go over it and go around it and go through it in order for you to continue on your journey to your destination? So we looked at all of that last week. And one of the things we said 2 weeks ago, rather, one of the things we said was failure is not all completely bad. Everything about failure is not doom and gloom. There are silver linings. There are points of goodness that comes out of failure. In fact, we went as far as to say that failure is a vital ingredient in your journey to success. And we looked at a few people in life who we see today, we celebrate, we honor, and we look up to, because they are successful, because they are living good, they are celebrities, they're making wave, they're making differences in life. But when you look at their stories, when you read into their journey, you will find out that they did not just wake up with success hanging around their necks. No, they went through. They went through. And part of what they went through was having to deal with the issue of failure, having to do with the issue of mistakes, having to confront themselves, having to contend with oppositions and objections and rejections and all of that. But in the totality of their lives, they have learned how to overcome, how to walk around, how to beat the odds that were against them. And that's why today they are successful. So on today's program, we are going to be looking at what are some of the lessons that failure teaches us. What are some of the lessons that we can learn from failure? What are some of the things, or is there any lesson, is there anything good that can come out of failure to be a blessing to you and I? So that's what we'll be looking at on today's program. So again, let's look at, what does it mean to fail? What does it mean to fail? Failure is simply lack of success. It's a destiny. It's a place where you find yourself, where the expected or the required result is not at hand, where you expect yourself to be, what you expect yourself to have, how you expect yourself to, whatever you expect as your end result, whatever you are looking forward to, you've put your effort, your energy, your resources, your time into towards achieving a particular goal. If at the end of it that goal is not achieved, then people call it failure. We call it failure. But you see, success and failure are the two sides of the same coin. They go hand in hand, and it applies to every aspect of our lives. Every area of human endeavor, there is wherever there is success, failure is not far out. Wherever there is failure, success is just next door. If you ask any successful person, tell me about your story. Tell me about your journey. Wow, look at your house. Wow, look at your workplace. Wow, look at this, and whatever you want to point to as being successful. They will look at you and they will smile. And they will tell you that don't count, don't judge, don't be fooled by this result that you're seeing. Because before we get to this position, there were tears, there were sweat, and in some cases there were blood that were shed. All in the process of pushing through, of pressing through, of overcoming, of walking your way through whatever you want to call failure. I had the privilege once of being involved in the production of a book for a good friend, Dr. Segun Fatuma. And everybody see Dr. Segun Fatuma today and they say, oh, wow, he's this, he's a scientist, he's this and he's that. But you go back and read his book, Diamonds on the Street. Diamonds on the Street. And it tells it's a catalog of the journey of his life. How at some point in his life, he was a street hawker on the street of Lagos. Before he goes to school in the morning, he will have to go and hawk something. He will come back from school in the afternoon, he will have to go back. And rightly so, he's success today. And it is the same thing in your life and in my life. I don't care where you think you are, whatever however you see yourself right now, you have succeeded in one thing or another. You have achieved something. You have made progress in an area. But in order for you to be able to accept and walk in the fullness of that joy, of that success, you must have passed through. And part of your passing through is mistakes that were made, is failures that you had to deal with and overcome. In fact, you cannot reach great success in life by doing what everybody is doing. Average is very common. What differentiates an average from a success is the ability to behold and to tame and to overcome the mistakes of life, the failures of life, so that when you arrive, then people have no choice but to celebrate you. So in order for you to be successful in life, you can't be doing what everybody is doing. You need to innovate. You need to break new grounds. You need to push past the place of pleasure. But you see, during the course of innovation, during the point of practicing, while you are pumping the iron in the gym, you will always make mistakes. You will set goals that you will not be able to meet. You will aim for a height and you will not be able to reach. And all of that put together are your failures and your mistakes. But the good thing is, unless you sit down and wallow in those mistakes, and you lie down in those failures, success is guaranteed. Success is guaranteed. So if failure is as important, in fact, it's a necessary step on the necessary rung on the ladder to success. If that is what failure is, why are we so afraid of failure? Why are so many people afraid of failure? Why do we have so much trouble accepting that failure is actually a part and parcel of life? Why can't we just accept that this is a point of failure and move on from it, learn from the experience, gain the skills and the knowledge and the insight from that experience, and move on to greater things, move on to greater heights? Why? Because unless we understand why, as human beings, we struggle to accept failure as a part and parcel of life, as a vital ingredient on our way to success, we will continue to shortchange and cripple our own success by not admitting, by not recognizing, by not confronting this vital issue that is required for you and I to succeed. What am I saying? You want to be successful. We all want to be successful. Then in that case, we need to face the fact. We need to accept the fact that on this journey to success, there is something called mistake. There is something called failure along the way. They are not there to be against us. They are there to promote us. They are there to elevate us. They are there to push you over. They are there to catapult you into your success. So the question tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is if failure and mistakes, which are inevitable part of life, if they are so important in our journey to success, why are we so afraid of them? Why are we so scared of making mistakes? Why are we so scared of experiencing failure in one way or another? I'm going to give you 2 or 3 reasons why people are afraid of failure. Why people find failure difficult to deal with, to accept, and therefore they are unable to overcome it. The first one is the word failure, which means for you not to be successful. It simply means you are missing out on the feelings, the emotion, and the joy of success, the elation of victory, the pride of pushing through, the feeling of your worth that I have achieved this, I have accomplished this, I am the one who has made this happen. Because failure robs man of that feeling, that emotional boost, that flow of adrenaline, that joy that bubbles up from the inside. Because failure robs man of that feeling, we don't want to accept failure. We don't want to confront mistakes. We don't want to deal with shortcomings because we feel by accepting it, by recognizing it, we are going to miss out from that feeling. And that the thought of missing out on that joy, on that pride, on that feeling of self-worth, it makes you feel miserable. And so because you don't want to feel miserable, we tend to avoid failure. We push failure aside. We refuse to touch it. We refuse to acknowledge it. We refuse to deal with it. We refuse to encounter it. But you see, without a test, there can be no testimony. As human beings, as imperfect as we are, we have a natural tendency to avoid negative emotions, to avoid unpleasant experiences, and anything and everything that hurts our feelings, that hurts us physically, emotionally, psychologically, financially, relation-wise, we tend to avoid them. But you see, we need them. We need them in our lives because those are some of the life lessons that the only place you can learn them is in the course of that journey. So the number one reason people just resent and reject and will not accept that failure and mistakes are part of life is because the sense of missing out on the joy of success. The second reason is found in the relationship or the correlation between failure and fault. You see, to fail is not just the mere fact that you are not successful. To fail involves a presumption that you've done something wrong, that you've taken the wrong step, that you've made a big mistake, that you've messed up yourself, that you've breaking the law or something. And what that means is you admit failure, and by admitting failure, you admit blame. You accept that you are at fault. And because people don't want to accept that they are at fault, people don't want to accept that they've made mistake, because of that, they refuse anything that looks like failure. And because the society at home, at work, at school, in the community, in the world at large, because society has this negative connotation, negative mindset, negative orientation, negative thought towards anything that looks like failure. And immediately, the moment something looks like a mistake or a failure, immediately society is putting blame on it. And because nobody wants to be blamed, nobody wants to be responsible for why it didn't work, nobody wants to accept or admit the responsibilities of failure or mistakes. But you see, that's not going to help you. That's not going to help me, because life cannot be lived outside of a complete eradication of mistakes and failure. But because nobody wants to be blamed, nobody wants to take responsibility, nobody wants to accept the fault of why it didn't work, everybody is running away from failure. The third reason why people don't like to associate themselves or don't want to even recognize failure is because of the extreme general idea of failure. What do I mean by that? We tend to look at failure from a perspective that says you've done something wrong. You failed to succeed. You've something is wrong with you. And so because of that, that general mindset that failure is bad news. Failure is a stain. Failure is like leprosy. Failure is become a stigma that people attach to you. Because of all of that, nobody wants to associate themselves with failure. Nobody wants to associate themselves with mistakes. Nobody would like to be recognized as the one responsible. But failure and mistakes, they are part and parcel of life. There is no way you and I can live a day, even an hour in a day, without an iota of mistake, an iota of error, an iota of failure. One of the things that when I'm writing, I'm still working on that. By the time I've written 2-3 lines, there will be something I need to correct and scribble and rewrite and shade and all of that. But you see, you can look at that and say, oh, that doesn't mean. No. That is because in the course of my writing, it's either my head is thinking faster than my hand, or my hand is writing faster than my thinking. I'm having to come back and correct something. That's a mistake. But that's part of life. So it's either because we have a wrong idea about failure, or because we don't recognize the correlation between failure and fault, or because people are just generally resent failure because to them it's a bad omen, Whatever it is that makes you reject or don't want to accept or recognize failure or mistake, you're not helping yourself. Because in order for you to be successful, you have to overcome. And the only thing you overcome are failures and mistakes. And when we talk about failure and mistakes, generally, there are so many facets and strength and nature and this and that of mistakes. So many of them are around. But researchers have categorized them into three broad headings. There are preventable mistakes or failures. There are complexity-related failures. And there are what they call intelligent failures or intelligent mistakes. So there are mistakes that are preventable. There are complexity-related mistakes or failure. And there are intelligent failures or intelligent mistakes. And we're going to look at the three of them quickly. Because this understanding will help you, especially when you are dealing with whatever it is the mistake you're dealing with is. Is it a preventable mistake? Is it a complexity-related mistake? Or is it an intelligent mistake that you're dealing with? Your understanding of these three facets or these three broad headings of mistakes will help you in dealing with mistakes and failures. What are preventable failures or preventable mistakes? These are mistakes that are made because you deviate from the rules or the procedures that are laid down for the specific task that you're doing. These are preventable because there is a guideline. There are rules that says on this motorway, the speed limit is 30 miles. Now, if you are on that motorway and because you're in a hurry or for whatever reason you decide to go at 60 miles an hour, that is a preventable mistake. But even while you are doing that, the speed camera flashes, whap, whap, and then you get the ticket in the post. You cannot turn around and say, what is going on? Because that mistake is preventable. It is simply a result of your deviating, of your just stepping away from the rules and the procedures that are already put in place. Now, that could be, you could deviate from them either intentionally or because you lack the ability to read and understand the instruction or whatever it is. But whichever it is, those mistakes are preventable. And the reality is, most of the mistakes that we make in our daily lives, they are preventable. They are preventable. They usually entail a percentage of individual fault. You didn't see the road sign. You didn't know what the speed limit on that road is. Or you saw the road sign and you know what the speed limit is, but you just decided, I need to get home on time. So the first class of mistakes or failures are what is called preventable mistakes or preventable failures. The second one is the complexity-related mistakes. This category of mistakes entails or they occur due to the complexity of a system that you are dealing with, that you are confronting. For instance, a complexity-related mistake is if I give a book to an illiterate to read. That is a problem on its own because the system that I'm expecting or that I'm requiring or that I'm demanding for this person to operate within, as far as their ability to read and write is, that system is complex. It's like if you ask me now to go to the hospital because there's shortage of doctor for me to go and carry out a surgery on somebody. Now, I'm sure you won't do that anyway because you don't want me to kill somebody. But you see, if you put me in that position, don't be surprised if I fail. Don't be surprised if I made mistake. Don't be surprised if it didn't work out, because the complexity of the situation is beyond my comprehension. Regardless of the application of my great intention and my best ideas and whatever it is, complexity related mistakes are usually a combination of small errors. Small errors. Some of them are inevitable, especially when complicated procedures are involved. If you take me to the laboratory now, God help both of us. And so, because of the complexity of the environment or the situation or whatever it is we're dealing with, because it is a complex, it's in a complex environment, mistakes are inevitable, errors are inevitable, failures are inevitable, and whether the error is small or big, somewhere down the line there will be trouble. The third type of error or mistake is what is called the intelligent mistakes or intelligent failures. I know the two don't seem like they can work together. How can it be intelligent and be a mistake? How can it be intelligent and be an error? How can it say this thing is can you say it's intelligent and call it a failure? Intelligent mistakes are good mistakes because they occur when experimentation is necessary, when experimentation are the conditions that is required for success to be achieved. Have you heard of the word or the phrase trial and error? Well, that is an intelligent mistake. You have so many options before you, and so you're trying different ones because you don't know which one will work. All you are doing is trying to eliminate the ones that will not work in order for you to arrive at the ones that will work. And usually when intelligent mistakes are not successful, they are still successful because you learn from them how not to do it, how it will not work, how this is not the way to get the result that you desire. Having said all of that, whether it's a preventable mistake, whether it's a complexity related mistake, or whether it's an intelligent mistake, all mistakes, all failures, they entail something that we all can learn from, if only we pay attention, if only we look out for what is the lesson in this for us. So that brings us to what are some of the lessons that we can learn? What are the strategic lessons that we can learn from both mistakes and failures? What are those strategic lessons? Strategic knowledge that we can gain, we can learn from failure, so that we can then use that to propel ourselves to success. How do we learn them? How do we go about learning from mistakes and error? The first one is to detect and prevent failures. Detect and prevent failures. You see, it's easy to detect big, obvious failures in anything. If you're standing in front of your house and the road says it is one way, everybody is going this way, and you see a car coming from the other direction, you know immediately that that's a mistake, that's an error, there's something wrong with this driver. So it's not difficult to detect big and obvious failures. But in many cases, those big and obvious failures, excuse me, they are just the accumulation of small errors and failures and mistakes that will then combine together before it becomes a blown out, a big and obvious error. Using that same example of this is a one-way road and then there's a car coming from the opposite direction, it could be because the driver was not paying attention to see that at the entrance there is a sign there that says one way. It could be because the driver is not even from this part of the world, and so they don't even know what the road signs in this place looks like. It could be because the driver, the sat nav send the driver down the wrong lane, like you and I have done before. But you see, it's all those small, little errors, failures, mistakes. When they come together, they become the big one that is obvious to everybody. So you and I, we must learn to observe carefully. We must learn to listen to our intuition. But most importantly, we must not be afraid of mistakes, because sometimes what makes a big mistake or a big error or a big failure to be banged in your face is because you're being too careful. You don't want to make mistake. And in the process, you make a big one. Most of small errors and mistakes, they might go unnoticed. That driver could turn down this road and drive to the end of the road and nobody will see him. Some mistakes, some of these small errors might go unnoticed. But as they accumulate, as they gather together, as the layers upon layers upon layers upon layers, they become the big, massive failures that we see. And sometimes the reason they combine and pile up is because we ignore them. That's all right, it doesn't matter. Oh no, it's okay, don't worry about that. Imagine you're on a production line. Maybe you are producing this glass. And in the course of production, obviously there will be quality assurance and all of that. And then you see a glass come through the production line that is not fully formed, and you just say, that's all right, don't worry about it. And then the next one, the paint is spilling, that's all right, don't worry about it. And then the next one comes and it's just slightly shorter, you just say, it's okay. 1 in 1,000 doesn't matter. But you see, all those little mistakes that you are ignoring. Imagine if by the law of probability, all those defective glasses ended up in one consignment to one customer. Now, the customer is going to be like, what's going on? How can I order 10 boxes and one whole box of 12 glasses are all defective? It is the 12 that the customer will see. But the reality is, it is in the production line. When you saw the one with the paint peeling off, you say, don't worry. You saw the one that is not fully formed, it's all right, don't worry. You saw the one that is cracked a little bit, you say, it's okay, that could happen in transit. When you ignore little mistakes, they come back together to form a big one. For instance, some companies will tolerate bad management and bad sales numbers. Some people will ignore symptoms of potential sickness in their own body. Some parents will ignore the feelings that something may be wrong with their children. Oh, it's all right, it's just been a rascal. That's what boys do at this age. Meanwhile, that child is showing symptoms of sickness. And sometimes people ignore these little mistakes because we are afraid. We are afraid. We don't want to confront them because by confronting them, we are recognizing the failure and the mistakes. And naturally, we don't want to recognize them. So we just look the other way. The trick is to control your mind and not to ignore your intuition that is telling you something is not right. This thing doesn't look right. Something is wrong here. Don't ignore it. The Bible said it's the small foxes that spoils the vine. Don't ignore them. Say, that's just a small thing. Don't worry about it. Oh, that's okay. That's just a little. Oh, come on. Don't make a fuss over what is not. So next time you feel a certain strange pain somewhere where it's not supposed to be, don't say, it's all right. It must be the way I slept last night. Go and see your doctor. Go and see your doctor. So, the lesson number one that you can learn from mistakes and failure is to be alert, to detect, and to prevent them, especially when they're small. The second lesson is to learn how to do an in-depth failure analysis. You need to learn how to do an in-depth failure analysis. What do I mean by that? You see, failure is painful. Oh, tell me about it. Failure is very painful. And the experience itself, it drains you of your emotional power. Everything in you just kind of go down the drain, as it were. So when you experience a failure in an area, it is very, very advisable for you not to conduct any premature action. Oh, what they call knee-jerk reaction. You just hear the baby cry. Before you even ask what happened, you grab the sibling and you just whack without even knowing whether the sibling had anything to do with that child that's crying. Give yourself some time to examine, to dig deep, to realize what happened. What happened? How did we arrive at this position? Get a hold of the situation before you act. Don't rush into action because you've just experienced a failure. When you do that, you know what makes gamblers get into trouble? In fact, most addicts, what gets them into trouble is that once let's use a gambler for example. He's put a bet on the table and is lost. A reasonable person will cut their losses and walk away. But a gambler will say, no, this next throw of the dice, I'm going to win that back. And he will commit more money than the last one. And then more money than the next one. And then more money than the next one. And before you know it, he's neck deep in debt. Because he's just reacting to the situation rather than standing back and examining, do an in-depth analysis study of what happened. What happened? Go back to your planning. Go back to your preparation. Go back and examine your execution pattern. And try to realize what exactly went wrong before you launch out into the next phase. So, failure and mistakes will help you, should help you, could help you to do an in-depth analysis of why did we fail? Where did we take the wrong turn? How did we arrive at this place? What is responsible for this issue? Do a thorough investigation rather than just say, oh, it didn't work. Right. Next, let's try this one. No. Find out why it didn't work in the first place. Another lesson you can learn from failure. Another way of learning from failure is for you to revisit your plan. You see, whether it is implied or expressly done, we plan for everything we do. Whether you've written down step by step of what you're going to do, or you're just thinking it in your head, or you're just jumping at it, whichever way, there was a plan behind everything that we do. So when things fail, when errors occur, when there are mistakes, that's the time for you to go back and look at your plan. Rather than you beating yourself up, how I can't believe, what kind of nonsense is this? I should know better. I'm better than this. I can do better. That won't help you. You just wallow in self-pity. No, that's the time for you to say, okay, bring out the map, the blueprint, and re-examine your plan. What was your plan? What was in your plan in the first place? What were the exact steps that you had in the plan to take? And did you take those steps in that chronological order? Did you try to predict all relevant hurdles or mistakes that are likely to be on your way? And if so, what were your preventive measures that you put in place to overcome those hurdles? At any point, did you think of an alternative way to do the same thing? All of these are in your plans. All of these should be in your plan. So you should be able to go back and sit down and look at your plans and ask yourself these questions. Was there a problem with the plan, or was it something else that you didn't foresee that crippled your success? Do you have an alternative of what to do in case this one didn't work? Did you visualize the end result that you expected? And did you write down what you're visualizing, or did you draw it as a diagram? How did you commit that into your heart? Be honest with yourself while you are examining your plan. Were you being honest in your proposal? Were you overestimating your income and underestimating your expenses? Is that why this plan didn't work? Go back to the beginning. Failure is a great teacher. It helps you to do a postmortem and re-examine and revisit and look again at your plans to see what went wrong here. The next thing you can do is to re-evaluate your preparation. It is one thing to have your plans, but are you prepared? Did you prepare? How did you prepare? Were you preparing yourself, or you were preparing just the proposer, or you were preparing both yourself and the proposer? How was your preparation? Because after a failure, people tend to justify themselves and point a finger at everybody else and blame something that is external to themselves. Well, I could have succeeded if not for the other man. I could have succeeded if not for this. If it didn't rain, if the sunshine was not hot, if this and if that. And that's where you hear people say things like, I did everything in my power. Well, it means your power is not big enough. Or they say things like, there was really nothing else I can do. Yes, there was. Maybe you didn't know enough. The reality is some of the justifications, even you yourself, you know, they're not true. You're just looking for something to soothe your ego. Did you prepare everything necessary for the proper execution of your plan? Did you prepare yourself? Did you have all the tools in place? Have you got all the materials that is required? Have you done your feasibility study? Did you think all of it through and really invest time and energy and commitment and dedication to this plan before you just step out and walk by faith? There's a place to walk by faith, but then there's a place where you have to plan and then work the plan. The next thing that failure will help you do is to reevaluate your execution. So the first one is to do an in-depth analysis of your plan. Then reevaluate your preparation. The third one is to reevaluate your execution. You could have the best planning in life, in the world. You could have done the best feasibility study and prepare yourself, study and show yourself to be ready for this exam. But how did you deliver? How was the execution of the plans and the preparation? Did the two come together at the point of delivery or not? Evaluate every execution of your plan, because you see, that is where the rubber meets the road. With perfect planning and excellent preparation, if the execution of it didn't go well, there'll still be no result. Focus on the things that you have predicted and how you have prepared and planned to overcome them. Reevaluate your execution. Is there something during the time of your execution that was not in your plan? Or was there something that you changed in your preparation at the last minute? Did you follow all the steps that was included in your plan and in your preparation? Did you maintain your focus and your motivation throughout your execution? Because sometimes it's not that the plan is wrong. It's not because you didn't prepare for it. It's just because you lack the motivation at the point of execution. Oh, whatever. Oh, well, what time is it? Oh, let's just finish and go home. That attitude, that outlook of execution is a recipe for mistakes. It's a recipe for failures. Check your plan. Be prepared. And check your execution. Next thing you can do is to focus on the variables in your control that are within your control. What are some of those variables? Every equation have those that are constant and there are those that are variables. Keep an eye on those variables. There's a reason they are called variables. They can change. They are subject to change. Keep an eye on them, because unless you you pay attention to them, when they change and you still try to adopt or approach or execute like what you had planned, you're going to get a wrong result. Keep an eye on your variables. Don't overlook what seems like, oh, that's a small thing. If you're supposed to put 2 spoons of sugar in this cup of tea, and you say, oh, that's a tiny spoon, and you just shovel 10, it might not look like it's a big thing, but it's already messed up the whole arrangement. Never allow yourself to believe your success does not depend on you. Don't. This is something that we all do. Oh, it's that thing's fault. That person is responsible. Well, if only that. No. You are making it as if your own success depends on something else. Your own success depends on somebody else. Your own success is in somebody else's hand. No, it's in your own hand. It's in my own hand. So when you fail, rather than blaming somebody, take a deep breath and reflect on the situation and identify where you fail. Which of those variables did not come to the market? Which of those variables worked against your delivery? Which of those variables affected your plan? And how did you adjust yourself to accommodate the variables? There will always be things that are outside of your control, and rightly so. But just because they are outside of your control doesn't mean you lose control completely. Question as we come to a close. Question: would you be ready to experiment in life with real numbers, facing poor chances of success, with the sole purpose of obtaining potentially useful knowledge? Would you be ready? Are you prepared to fail? Are you prepared to fail? Because unless you are prepared to fail, you're going to sit down in your comfort zone. And for as long as you're in your comfort zone, average is your name. Success is not going to come knocking on your door. It is the liberty to try anything and fail that separates unique and exceptional people from everyone else. It is the liberty, it is the commitment, it is the determination, it is the willingness, the vulnerability of exposing yourself to failure that will separate you, that will make you special, that will uplift your uniqueness in comparison to others. I like what Winston Churchill said. He said, victory is not final, and failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Victory is not final. Failure is not fatal. But it is the courage to continue in the face of either failure or success. That's what would get you home eventually. Because life is a wonderful thing. There'll be times in life when things are just like hunky-dory. I mean, you are flying, you are untouchable, everything is just lining up for you. You are running and you just hitting the home run. Everything will adjust itself just to accommodate your desire, just to line up so that it can benefit you and put you over in life. But then there will be times when it be like the whole world is conspiring against you, when it be like everything and everybody has abandoned you, when it seems like nothing is working. And that's the time you start to question yourself. You start to doubt your self-worth. Am I enough? Am I good enough? Do I have what it takes? Why is it not working for me? In that period, when your face is down in the gutter, when life seems to be pummeling you and beating you to the ground, when everything seems to be conspiring against you, that's the time you need to remind yourself. That's the time you need to speak to yourself. The Bible said David encouraged himself in the Lord. That's the time for you to say to yourself, do you know what? Failure is not final. It's not fatal. It's not the end result of my name. It's just a stage that I'm passing through. So pull up your socks, roll up your sleeves, and walk through it. Don't let failure, don't allow mistakes and errors in life to get you to doubt yourself, your self-worth, to question your self-esteem, and to make you feel unworthy of life. Because one thing that is certain, one thing that is so guaranteed, as night follows day and day follows night, one thing that is guaranteed is that everything in life is subject to change. It is subject to change. So, once you refuse to give up on yourself, learn from your mistakes, even life will smile at you, will open its hand, and it will open itself for you to partake of the success that it has for you. But you must not run away from the fear of failure. Because failure, like success, is just part and parcel of life. And when you commit yourself to it, when you refuse to give up, when you channel your energy from the sense of failure and you re-examine your preparation, you revisit your planning, you look at your execution, and you pull everything out and dig deep and find out, where did this go wrong? Nothing can stop you from being successful. Many of us know this spray called WD-40. Do you know that name WD-40 is the story of that spray? Because they have tried 39 times to perfect that spray, the chemical of that spray. They have tried 39 times and failed. And it's on the 40th time that they succeeded. And that's why that spray is called WD-40 till today. Imagine they giving up at 35, 36, 37, 38, 39. WD-40 is everywhere in the world today because they kept learning from their mistakes. They kept learning from the errors. They did not recognize, they did not bow down at the altar of failure. Today, the rest, they say, is history. If you've tried once and you failed, try again. Try again. Try again. Try again. Usually, a successful journey consists of many failed attempts on the way. But it doesn't matter. You're not going to the way. You are going to the destination. Keep your eyes on the ball. Keep your focus on the ball. Keep going. Keep pushing. Keep knocking. Keep banging. Keep working at it. Because eventually, it will come out the way you want it. when you fail, when you fall, get up, dust yourself up, try harder, fail better. Then you'll realize that success is just on the other side of what you call failure. Ladies and gentlemen, nobody likes to fail. Nobody likes to fail. We all want to be successful, and rightly so. But running away from the concept of failure is failure on its own. Because failure is the stepping stone that you need to get to the place called success. I don't know what you are contending with in your personal life right now. Maybe with your career, maybe with your family, in your business, in your ministry, in your finance, in your health, with your children, your spouse, the government, the society, just life in general, whatever it is. Just because you've tried before and you fail, you've tried again and you fail, you've tried again and it's still not working, doesn't mean your name is failure. No, it just means you have not gotten to the point where it will break through for you. Keep digging, keep pushing, keep exploring, keep knocking on that door, keep dusting yourself down and rolling up your sleeves and go for it again. Examine your plan, examine your preparation, reevaluate your execution. Because as you do that, you are every step closer and closer and closer to your success. And when you get to your point of success, nobody can deny that you are that better man and that better woman. And I'll see you again next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.